this. I'm excited to even share. It's been on my heart to do a mission trip pretty much since I've been out here. And so it kind of feels like it's the right year to give a good shot at it and see what we can do. So I know some of you remember when Rachel Allen was around doing some work as an intern with us. Actually, one of the things that she was doing research even for us on what types of missions organizations are out there for a trip like this. So it's been a couple of years in the making. And so one of the big questions I just want to start with is like, why do we think a mission trip is important? And if I were to look back on my own story, my own relationship with Jesus as a youth, it was probably the turning point in my faith, was being on a mission trip. There was a lot, I grew up in a church, I grew up going to Sunday school, I knew an awful lot about God, but there's all these questions that I had in my heart of like, God, do you love me? Do you care for me? Are you working in the world? And what does it look like? And so, my first trip that I went on, I did 3 as a youth. My first one, we went to Mexico. And while I was there, it actually opened up this opportunity. We were like outside of our normal comfort zone. I was seeing a part of the world that I had never seen before. And as I was doing that, it was kind of opening up the door for me and my relationship with Jesus to go, okay, God, are you real? Do you love me? And that trip was actually the turning point for me, where as God provided rain, and the people in that Mexico, they were in drought for like 6 months. It opened up the door for me to believe, yes, God, you do care about me. And it actually opened the door for me to take a deeper ownership of my faith spiritually. And as I was seeing God working in me, and as I was seeing God working through me. So mission trips are opportunities like that. They get us outside of our normal comfort zone. We get to see a part of the world that we've never been in. We actually get to wrestle with, is this our faith that we're sharing with other people? And we also get to see an opportunity of, how am I growing as a disciple maker and a disciple of Jesus as I'm talking through and as I'm working with other people. They're really super eye-opening and really super cool. So actually, I'm actually even wearing the shirt from the Apex ministry team. The Apex team is actually, it's the missions organization and wing of the Evangelical Free Church. So this is connected with the Evangelical Free Church. And I just want to show, if this will work for me, a quick video about what they're about.
There are a lot of students today who are just wrestling with, what am I supposed to do with my life?
We just have a lot of students coming through youth ministries and student ministries who are leaving the church once they get off to college and going out into the world.
Our generation especially wants to act. We want to do something. We want to be involved.
They know that there's a greater reason for which they were made for, and yet they're searching for what is that, and we want to help them find it.
There's still 3 billion people in the world who today cannot know Jesus Christ. Cannot. I think we're really desperate for the next generation of leaders.
In the world's view, to be a leader is to be successful. It's to be in a position where you have power.
Bigger personalities, more possessions, bigger platforms, more talents. Those are the people who are important, that are lifted up in leadership. What Jesus sets in place is that it's just the opposite.
It really causes you to go against human nature. We naturally want to, build ourselves up and climb ladders.
And that's what is so beautiful about the gospel, is that anybody has the opportunity to be an influence for the sake of the kingdom, empowered by the Spirit.
You don't learn to lead until you learn to follow. It's not lording leadership, it's serving leadership.
It's with a willingness and a selflessness to say, God, it's not going to be about my name and my fame, it's going to be about yours. As I humble myself as a servant, God lifts me up and uses me for the greatest work in the world. Apex is providing a training context rather than a classroom. It literally is the city that is becoming the training ground.
There's something about students living and serving in unfamiliar and uncomfortable places that requires them to just go deeper with God.
Give them experiences where they can sort of start this journey of prayer and mercy and justice as a lifestyle.
People can discover and learn and try.
As they're doing that, it's not just building them up, they're going and they're serving, and it's relationships. They're learning from other people, they're learning about themselves, they're learning about who God is.
We want to create a pipeline for middle school, high school, college students, post-grads, where they're continuing to take next steps in their walk with Christ and next steps in what God would have them do, and give an alternative to the world that says just serve yourself. They want to be genuine gospel influencers in this world. They want to take the one life that they're living and play their part in God's eternal story.
The goal of Apex is to develop students as leaders who seek to live with Jesus and for Jesus in all aspects of life.
So for those students who were at District Blitz last year, which is where I actually got the shirt, one of the phrases that they were using was give us 1 week with us as a team, with students. And their goal is to actually prepare and equip students to be disciples and disciple makers for the other 51 weeks of the year. Their goal is not that trip itself, their goal is life when they get back from the trip. And I love that focus and how that really creates a training context and equipping that's kind of unique for what they're about and what they're doing. So the site that we picked, and we talked with some students about this, we're looking to go to Kansas City, Kansas. And there is a church out there, Bridge of Hope Community Church. You can kind of see the Kansas City, Missouri boundary here. If you're a map person, that's where approximately they are. That's a snapshot of them. Their goal really is about transforming lives for Jesus Christ. And they're in the northeast section of the urban core of Kansas City. And so they're looking to express God's love through tangible acts to the homeless, the poor. There's addicts, widows, orphans. There's a lot of stuff happening in Kansas City. And so that's their goal as a church. So what we would be doing is, the goal would be that we would come alongside the church itself and helping them as they're looking to serve kids and families within the community. And understand 37% of the people, the residents in that area, are below the poverty line. In fact, they're saying that more than half of the children in the area that they're serving are living below the poverty line. So, as we're coming in, for some reason, I'm having issues again. Here we go. There we go. All right. As we're coming in, we're going to be looking to do, helping partner with the church itself and helping them flesh out their VBS program. What they're looking to connect with the kids and really build into the families out there. So here's kind of a general schedule of what the week that we would be going and doing this would look like. So Saturday, it's about 9.5 hour drive from here down to Kansas City where we would be. So we would take all of Saturday, we'd be driving down, and we'd be staying in a hotel that night for the first night. Sunday morning we wake up, we would get into the church service, we'd get into Bridge of Hope for their morning service, and that would start at 10 a.m. And then through that day, it's kind of an orientation day for us. So they would be taking us through the city, giving us a little bit of a tour, saying, okay, what is Kansas City, Kansas all about? Like, what's happening here in the community? And they'd also be doing training a little bit about evangelism and equipping us for some of the pieces that will be coming up. Through the next 4 days, it would follow approximately this schedule. We'd probably wake up in the morning, there's going to be devotional time for us to read, spend some time with Jesus. And then from about 10:30 to 3, we'd be doing a VBS on site with the church. Some of this will be in going out and getting the kids in the community, driving them back. They'd be rotating some of the things that we'd be doing, which would be, they're going to have some games as a piece of that. There's going to be some Bible lessons that are going to be a part of that. There's going to be some crafts and stuff that would be a part of that, and then kind of be rotating through the day. In the afternoon, I'm guessing, there will be a time for training and equipping. So they're going to be talking about what are different ways we can be using tools for evangelism. What are different ways that we can be looking for when we come back to Grand Rapids? What will we be bringing back to our school when we get back? And in the evenings, there's going to be a rotation of some of the different things that will be happening. One evening, we'll probably be visiting the International House of Prayer, dubbed IHOP. It's not pancakes. But it would be an opportunity to talk and learn about what's happening, thinking about prayer, thinking about what types of ministry they do. Another evening they talked about hosting a splash party. This would be, for us, probably working with some of the kids in the community and being able to continue to build some relationships there. Also fun for us. The Wednesday evening probably be a scavenger hunt through the city. And obviously, there's going to be college students, there's going to be people from Apex will be helping us, as well as people from the church itself will be a part of that, investing into it. So we're not just blindly going out into the city. That would be, yeah. So, and then the final evening on Thursday night, we'd have a debrief time to kind of recap, what did we see, what did we experience, what was God doing in us and through us as we're there, that evening on Thursday. That night, so we would be staying in the church on site for Sunday through Thursday. That Friday morning we would pack up, we would leave the church, and that's the goal of Friday, is relationship building and fun. It's a chance for us to enjoy time together, and we'd actually probably talk as a team who comes together on what we would want that day to look like. There's actually a really awesome aquarium out there and a bunch of other things that I was already doing some checking out what we could do. And the goal is for us to spend that time together. We'll stay in a hotel that night, we'll pack it back up Saturday morning and make the long drive back out here. So that's kind of the quick overview of what the week would look like. The big question is, how much does it cost, right? So Apex itself asks for about a $350 mandatory commitment for them, for the site, to make sure that everything works. We crunched some numbers trying to figure in hotel, van costs, food. We kind of came up with this approximation of about $600. Now, again, I'm factoring in the fact that we're probably going to have to rent vans to get down there. If we don't have to rent vans, that cost will drop. And I will say, you know, looking at the ability for fundraising and looking at the love that this church has for the youth, I have no doubt that there will be some where that cost can be dropped. There's missions, funds, there's fundraising. I'm really not concerned about the funds for this. In preparation for the trip, there are 3 meetings that will need to be had for everyone who goes on the trip. Now, I understand schedules are busy and they're hard. If for some reason one of those mandatory meetings is scheduled and students, you can't be there for that, you'll need to meet with me and we'll need to catch it up, because there's going to be some stuff, because we're going to have to figure out what are we doing for VBS stuff. There's also going to be some culture training on what Kansas City is like. There's going to be some evangelism training, I'm sure, as a part of that and more. So we'll have 3 mandatory meetings as a piece before that. You might notice it's a little different than what we would do for our trip to the Dominican. The Dominican is a trip where there's a lot of hands-on practical building work being done. So they're building houses and they're investing in relationships as they're building, but the building project is a lot of the goal. For this trip, this is going to be a very highly relational trip. So there's going to be opportunities where you're actually going to have to step back and say, okay, how would I share my faith with a 5th grader? Sorry. Or how could I share my faith with a 5-year-old? How would I be able to communicate what God has done in my life with somebody else? And so there's going to be lots of time. We're going to be lots of time with people together, as a group with each other, Lord willing, with another group, with the people on site there, the Apex team, as well as the church as well. So relationships are a big part of this. And parents, if you are in a place where like, hey, you know what, actually I would love to be a part of being part of this trip, I would love to have you. I would actually invite you guys along on the trip, and being some of the leaders investing into the city. I think there's a lot of good things that God could have for you as a part of this too. So there are a lot of big opportunities coming up for that, and those are the key pieces. Now there's one thing that the students have pointed out, and I've shared this as well. Apex, to make it happen, they have a request that there are 15 people on site who are not Apex or church, the church itself. Now, as a group, would we be able to come up with 15 people to make it happen? I don't know. I'm praying that maybe that's what God wants to do in this church. Could we send 15 people? Yeah, I think it's possible. The other piece in Apex, I'm working with the leaders of Apex, they're looking for another church or another team that would be able to partner with us, and that's another way that we can make that 15 people that they would need on site. I say that because there is a possibility that if we don't meet the 15, they would close that week and we would not be able to go. That's a heads up, it just needs to be a reality that I just need to put out there. If that happens, here's my perspective on it. We prep for this year, we'll try it again next year, and I think we'll be in an even better place for where God would have us if it doesn't happen this year. So I'm excited, I'm encouraged, and I feel like God is trying to do some things in this and through this, even the possibility of this trip in us and in our youth. So that's kind of, I want to open it up to you guys now. What questions do you have? What thoughts do you have as you're hearing some of this stuff? Yeah?
Do you have kind of a date where it'll be, like, if we don't have 15 people by this date, you kind of have something like that in mind?
I don't have a date picked yet. My guess is we'll probably need that by the end of March at probably the latest. I'm looking for getting us prepped and committed to the site. The sooner I have a feeling that, like, hey, I'm 100% in, that gives me an idea of saying, okay, this is where we're at, this is where the team is at. So the sooner I know, the better, is really what it comes down to.
Does Apex have a deadline?
My guess would be it would probably be March, April. I need to reconnect with April and see, I need to do a check-in on that. I will make sure I get that information out to you guys as soon as I get that.
So in the afternoons when you would have some training time or equipping time, who would be leading that?
It would primarily be Apex. They would put that's part of what they do is they put together, this is what we want to kind of go through over as a team. Now again, as the leader of our group, there are pieces that I can add and be a part of walking through that too. But they do a lot of that training as a part of what they're looking to do as a group.
So the 3 preparation meetings that you go through, is that also material that has come from Apex?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and as a youth, when I did a trip like this, there were some mandatory meetings, and so they would, like, when I was going to Mexico, they're like, here's what you can wear and what you can't wear. Like, they had to go down that basic for us of like, okay, shirts and all. They helped us prep for the culture because honestly, I wouldn't be able to do that myself. So that's a piece of what Apex is doing for us.
Is that programming with the kids, is that planned by Apex with the activities and lessons and all of that? Is that already planned out, or do you guys have a piece of that?
That's a very good and a very important question. There is a place where they have some curriculum and stuff put together that they can help us out with, but as far as a team, we're going to be doing that. So a lot of the work would be on us to figure out, okay, how do we want to communicate or plan what pieces we need to get in play for that. So that's also part of the team building experience. That's a part of some of the meetings that will be coming up too. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of work and prep for this.
So if there is another church that is involved in this, will there be meetings prior to with that other?
Yeah. The beautiful thing is we live in a world where digital conferencing is very easy. I use Zoom pretty much multiple times a month, where I'm connecting with leaders and people across the nation through Elementum, what we're doing with the college ministry. And so there's actually some mandatory meetings even on my end as the point person for this, where I would be conferencing with April, who's out in California, who's the head of Apex, as well as other people who would be on site. So we'd be doing a lot of that in prep for. But yes, we would also, as far as the practical for the VBS stuff, we would have to work together for that.
How is the church involved then that you're going to stay with?
The church has kind of a bit of a oversight as to the connection with the community. They're kind of, the piece for us is we're actually being able to bless the community because they have limited resources, which is why something even like a VBS is a little bit of a stretch for them. But their goal is, I mean, April was saying, they have a potential of 50 to 60 kids who they are connecting with in the community. And when you put that into a relationship context, and when you put that into the amount of volunteers it takes to make that happen, that's a lot of people. And so for us as a team, some of our ministry is actually going to be blessing the church itself, freeing them up for the types of relationship stuff they want to be doing with people in the community that they wouldn't be able to do. And the week that we would be going, there's actually 4 or 5 weeks after this where other teams will be coming behind us. And in fact, all of those weeks are full. So every week after this at this site is already closed. It's just this 1 week that's still left open. Anything else?
For the other church that would be involved, would we get our spots solidified for the people that want to go for us, and then you would add some people from the other church, or would it be kind of a?
It's more fluid than I wish it was. It's gonna be, and I kind of already have, like, I gave April a guesstimate of how many people we would be bringing, and it really is a guess. But that kind of gives her the ability to say, okay, what other group would be coming out there? Now, the crazy thing is, the site itself can support up to 35 volunteers that are not Apex or church. So there could be up to 35 people on site. So that's a big, I mean, even if we filled out 15, there's still space for 20 other people to come. So I'm not too worried about that.
Does it need to be another E-Free church?
Not necessarily, although Apex, because it is a free church, that's going to be their primary people that they're pulling from. But it's not limited to that.
Do you know of any other girls that are interested?
Yes. Yes. In fact, we're recording it right now because there are some other people who weren't able to make it to the meeting, so they can catch up. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I know, for instance, Holly has already pretty much said she's on board.
And Annika is like, I want to, my parents aren't sure, but like,
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah. No, and this is, I mean, again, this is an informational meeting, so there'll be more details coming out as we get closer, and so this is just, I wanted to make sure that you as parents and you as students had it out there, okay, this is what to expect, this is what's coming. There will definitely be more communication and more stuff that will need to come in the future, but I want to get this out when we got it pretty close to, this is what it's gonna look like, so.
I think, you know, the more we can communicate, you're gonna have to contribute something financially, but like probably not $600. I mean, that's just it's a big number, you know?
It is a big number.
And it's also like, it's a week.
Mhm.
And, you know, so for food, how does the food work? Is it?
The food's being prepped on site.
At the church? Okay.
Yeah, so the only
That's
food that
food.
we would need to figure out would be for our travel days and our
Okay.
fun day.
Sure.
And that cost would be above this?
No, so the hotel costs, the food costs for the travel days, and a little bit of, I didn't put a number on the fun day. I think I included like maybe $20 or something like that for what the cost could be for that. For if we were to go somewhere, that was already factored into the 600. The 350 base number is including your stay at the church and then your food at the church. And I'm guessing there's some supplies and stuff, so that 350's already rolled all that into it. Yeah.
Have you thought, if you had any brainstorms or thoughts about fundraising, when you look at like the fundraising that's already happening for Blitz and not taking away from that, or how that would work together?
Yeah, as far as the fundraising piece of it, so the bake sale is a unique opportunity coming up, because that's kind of more of an individual, person-by-person case. So if, for instance, I know that you're a part of the bake sale and you're looking for the mission trip, I could splash that over into your mission trip if you fill up the funds that you need to be raised. I will also say for this, for parents, if you don't know already, the pancake breakfast, when we did that fundraiser, students who helped out for that already have $50 against their ticket cost to Blitz. So what was the 160 is already down to 110, or 110. And I have no doubt that that'll continue to drop as there's other fundraising going on. But yeah, there will be other fundraisers that we're gonna need to do as it gets closer. Some of it is also kind of the missions experience of how do you write fundraising letters. And I'm curious, I haven't looked at the Apex material, but I'm wondering if one of their early preps is how do you actually write a fundraising letter if you're to look to do mission stuff. And so I'll get more on that, but there's gonna be other avenues like that, and fundraisers that can help with costs. Hannah, any students have any questions? Nope. Okay. Yeah, and it is open to anyone. It's open to the 6 through 12, so. Alrighty, if there are any other questions, how about I pray and we get out of here?